In my years creating content on the internet, there's always been a genre of comment that's kind of annoyed me. It's usually something along these lines. Great stuff on the whole, but the astrology stuff is absolutely mental. How can you present such an intelligent breakdown of art, but still believe people's personalities are dictated by the time of year in which they were born? Crazy shit. When I see things like this, I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child, you don't know anything about the world. You have no understanding of human history prior to the Age of Enlightenment. Because I also grew up with and went to college with a lot of these like philosophy bros and these like dude bros who always just would nag me about being like, oh, you're so smart, but you believe in astrology, you have faith in something outside of yourself. That's crazy. How can you do that? That's so illogical. And it's like, yeah, it is illogical. That is precisely the point. But recently, I read a book that really helped me to articulate some of these frustrations that I've been having with this commentary that I've been getting basically most of my life. And that like every person who hates astrology just like seems to feel the need to come out and say it. And not just say it, it's like one thing to be like, I don't really believe in that. Okay, sure. But like, you are on a high horse. You think everyone who does believe in astrology is stupid, and you are smart because you know that life is not dictated by the stars. And I'm gonna say, I have a message for you if that's you. So in the course of working on my dissertation for my history masters, I picked up this book, Caliban and the Witch, Women, the Body, and Primitive Accumulation by Sylvia Federici. She's writing a kind of high-minded Marxist feminist history of the transition to capitalism from feudalism and analyzing it through the lens of like women and the body and also the witch hunts. One of her arguments is that in the transition to capitalism, the capitalist class had to degrade the body, make the body into something that is nasty and uncontrollable and needs to be controlled by the logical powers of the mind. That's how we get people like Rene Descartes talking about saying things like, I am not this body, like this body is just my skin suit, the me that I am is in my brain. And Thomas Hobbes complaining about how if there's no order and organization to society, then we will descend into a state of nature. But one of the key things that she says is this: the body had to die so that labor power could live. Capitalism wants to make people into human beings, something that is separate from nature, something that is not the ape-descended animals that we are. Human beings have brains, human beings have logic, human beings have reason, and that means that we not only can we control ourselves, but we can also be controlled. I promise I'm going to start talking about astrology again soon. The body is what makes us animals. The body is the thing that has to eat, sleep, poop, procreate, do all of the different kinds of functions that if we didn't have to do them, we could just work all day, all the time. We could make our capitalist overlords as much money as humanly possible. You separate the body from nature. You create the idea of the human being, and then you separate the mind from the body. It might be easier to explain if I just read an excerpt. At the peak of the age of reason, the age of skepticism and methodical doubt, we have a ferocious attack on the body, well supported by many who subscribe to the new doctrine. This is how we must read the attack against witchcraft and against that magical view of the world which, despite the efforts of the church, had continued to prevail on a popular level through the Middle Ages. At the basis of magic was a conception of nature that did not admit to any separation between matter and spirit, and thus imagined the cosmos as a living organism populated by occult forces where every element was in sympathetic relation with the rest. We are not separate from the nature that we live in, and that's part of why, prior to capitalism taking over as the main form of economic organization in the world, people were much better at taking care of the earth, by and large. Every element, herbs, plants, metals, and most of all the human body hid virtues and powers peculiar to it. Thus, a variety of practices were designed to appropriate the secrets of nature and bend its powers to the human will. From palmistry to divination, to the use of charms, to sympathetic healing, there was magic designed to win card games, to play unknown instruments, to become invisible, to win somebody's love, to gain immunity in war, to make children sleep. Eradicating these practices was a necessary condition for the capitalist rationalization of work, since magic appeared as an illicit form of power and an instrument to obtain what one wanted without work. That is a refusal of work in action. Magic kills industry, lamented Francis Bacon. And he means that quite literally. Like, magic and capitalism, industry, cannot coexist. And thus proceeds a 500-year history of putting down anything that is considered to be magical that would involve obtaining what one wants without work. But what's more important to me is this idea of like people saying, you know, how can you believe that our human bodies are impacted by the cosmos, or that we should make decisions based off of what's going on in the stars? And it's like, are we not made out of stardust? If we believe in magic, if we believe in things like astrology, then we believe that we are a part of nature. We believe that we are impacted by the way that the stars work, by the way that the moon changes the waves in the ocean and sets people's menstrual cycles. And those are forces that are outside of the control of the capitalist class that wants to use every person on this planet to create as much surplus profit for them as humanly possible. And so they'll call you crazy for saying, no, I don't want to travel at this time because it's Mercury retrograde. Or they'll say you're lazy if you're menstruating and you need the entire week that you're menstruating off because your brain and body cannot function while that is happening to you. Another excerpt. Magic rested upon a qualitative conception of space and time that precluded a regularization of the labor process. How could the new entrepreneurs impose regular work patterns on a proletariat anchored in the belief that there are lucky and unlucky days? That is, days on which one can travel, and others on which one should not move from home, days on which to marry, others on which every enterprise should be cautiously avoided. I am kind of happy to now be able to smugly say I believe in astrology because I am an anti-capitalist, and to have a book to cite my sources with. But I think it's important that we ask ourselves why we believe the things that we believe. Where does this come from? Why are you so certain that astrology is fake that the fact that I am able to make good points while also believing in astrology is dumbfounding to you? And why are you so self-righteous in that opinion that you would then write an entire comment about it? It could all be fake, it could all mean nothing, but it's fun, it's interesting, and it's a framework through which to view the world. And now I can say it's a part of my anti-capitalist ethos.